The birth process of pigs is referred to as farrowing. In the grand scheme of things, farrowing is a short period of time, as gestation, on average, is 114 days. Farrowing can take anywhere from 1 to 10 hours on average, but can take longer depending on the litter size or complications. Management-wise, it's important because live pigs equal profit. It's easy to lose profit during this time. I'm going to first start off with the physiology of the sow reproductive tract and talk about how to assist sows during farrowing if needed. In the gravid or non-pregnant uterus of the sow, the cervix will be located dorsal to the pelvic bones, as you can see in this picture. When the sow or gilt is bred, however, the weight of the pigs and placenta pull the cervix down past the pelvic bones. This is one of the factors that can lead to dystocia. It is important to understand the way the reproductive tract is positioned in the body in order to provide assistance during parturition if needed. This diagram shows the positioning of the sow reproductive tract. You see the cervix being pulled down over and past the pelvic bones with the first fetus directly past it. Each white oval represents a fetus in this depiction. When labor begins, the circular muscles around the uterus begin contracting between each fetus. This helps separate the fetuses and allow for only one to be passed through the birth canal at a time. This is the sow's way of decreasing the instances of dystocia. However, there are times when two fetuses enter the cervix at the same time, and it's necessary for someone to intervene. The longitudinal muscles found along the uterus also begin contracting at the same time. This movement causes the first fetus to enter the cervix. The longitudinal muscles do not cease their contraction when the first piglet is born. Instead, they continue to contract to allow the other fetuses to move up toward the cervix, effectively shortening the uterine horn. With each piglet, circular muscles will continue to contract to provide separation between each piglet. The average gestation length of sows is 110 to 116 days, with an average of 114 days. While farrowing too early can be detrimental, it is typically better for a sow to give birth early rather than late. Late farrowing can lead to increased piglet weight and oftentimes an increase in dystocia. Labor, on average, ranges from 1 to 10 hours, but is typically a 3-hour process. Anywhere from a minute to 4 hours can pass between piglets, but 15 to 30 minutes is typical. This is an example of a sow card found on most production farms. As outlined in red, you can see how many piglets were born dead for each litter, previous and present. Gestation period is also recorded, allowing you to better estimate how long each sow's gestation will be. These cards are a great way to predict future problems and also a way to manage efficiency and health. Since we've talked about the process of farrowing, I would like to continue by covering sow management. Piglets are only as good as our sows, so it's crucial that we focus on our females as they make the biggest difference in our herds. Some of the behaviors sows will exhibit prior to farrowing include nesting, where the sow will root even if she is in a crate with no materials such as hay to move around, going off feed, becoming agitated, and around 24 hours prior to farrowing or less, start producing milk. These behaviors can help you predict when a sow will farrow, as they are fairly chronological in order. Knowing how to pull pigs can be the difference between a live pig and a stillborn. Knowing how pigs are situated in the birth canal and how to go about pulling them increases your chances of a healthy sow and a healthy litter. It's important to know that sows do not always need help. Pigs are smart creatures. If you provide assistance before it's needed, they may help push less and less, depending on you to do the work for them. This can be a big issue on farms with many sows. Knowing when to help with farrowing relies on your knowledge of normal farrowing characteristics, such as the average time between piglets and the sow's behavior during farrowing. A sow that has been pushing for longer than the average time between pigs may need assistance, as the pig may be stuck. Also, if the sow is no longer experiencing contractions but has not passed any placenta, she may need assistance or help in the form of oxytocin to increase contractions. By using these guidelines, you help yourself. If the sow is lying on her left side, then use your left hand to pull pigs. If she is lying on her right, use your right hand. If you, for instance, use your left hand while the sow is lying on her right side, you will be unable to reach as far and possibly not be able to find the next pig. This also hinders your movement as you are unable to bend your elbow in a way that allows you access to the rest of the uterine horn. Again, the reproductive tract will fall down into the lower body cavity, pulling the cervix down with it. Pigs are most likely to be stuck at the junction of the cervix and uterus in front of the pelvic bones. Again, if the sow in this picture is lying on her right, it would be much easier to bend your right arm to pass the pelvic bones than it would be using your left. Palpation sleeves not only keep the sow free from infection, but it also ensures that you will remain free from any possible disease or pathogen as well. Never enter the reproductive tract without lubrication. This can not only lead to an irritated tract, but also cuts that can harbor infection. Always remember to be gentle when entering the sow. You want to make your hand as small as possible. Any harm to the reproductive tract can cause illness, decreased reproductive efficiency in the future, or even death. If the presentation is backwards, then grab a pig's rear legs and pull. The best way to get a good firm grasp is by grabbing the pig's back legs above the hocks. This also decreases the chance of injuring the pig when moving it through the reproductive tract. If the presentation is anterior, then position the pig's legs in front of the head and place your fingers behind the ears and around the legs. This ensures that the pig is in the correct position to easily move through the cervix. This presentation is also the most common. Once a pig is born, it's important to make sure that the nose and mouth are clear of mucus and other obstructions. This step is important as the sow will not remove any placenta from her piglets. The thick placenta can be difficult for pigs to remove themselves as they will be weak and wobbly when first born. A sow will not remove the placenta from her pigs as a cow would, so intervention may be necessary. Removing the placenta and mucus can be done manually by briskly shaking the pig, rubbing the pig against the sow's hair, or gently stimulating nostrils. These practices not only remove any obstructions, but also stimulate the pig to breathe. Rubbing the pig against the sow's hair also allows the pig to smell its mother immediately following birth, versus the human smell. Oxytocin is a hormone that can be given to stimulate contractions. It should only be used if the sow has already begun farrowing and her cervix is dilated. Giving oxytocin before cervical dilation can lead to injury. Oxytocin should only be used if the sow is experiencing extreme dystocia or uterine inertia. The induction of farrowing can be performed if you believe a pregnancy is going too long or as a management procedure to ensure that someone will be available to help watch and monitor the sow when farrowing begins. It is critical to know the normal gestation length of each sow or an average for a herd. This allows you to plan the induction as the best results occur when shots are given 3 days or less before the due date. Referring to a sow's farrowing card can give you a good idea as to how long her gestation will be, and thus when to give shots to induce farrowing. This sow card shows that luteolice, abbreviated LUTE, was given on 3/17. This sow's due date, outlined in red at the bottom, was estimated to be 3/18 because of her previous gestation length. Thus, the luteolice was given a day before the sow's due date to ensure the efficient use of the drug. After giving luteolice, farrowing usually occurs between 16 and 24 hours later. This should be considered as you want to have someone available when the sow starts farrowing. Make sure that you give the shot at a time when the sow begins farrowing during the day and not at night when no one is around. Some studies suggest that a lower dose can be used if injected into the skin around the vulva. This practice can help decrease your cost of medicine greatly. Again, sows will often become tired, referred to as uterine inertia as mentioned before, and stop trying to push piglets out. Most stillborns occur during this time, and especially in labors that last more than 2 hours. Thus, it is crucial to have someone on hand to monitor the duration of farrowing and be ready to get help or give oxytocin if necessary. Always have someone present during farrowing. A high purity sow can have issues just as a gilt can. It is crucial to understand the farrowing process and be on hand for any possible problems that may occur. Managing animals is obviously crucial, but having the correct equipment is essential to raising pigs. Some equipment I plan to cover includes crates and flooring, feeders, and supplemental heat. I will begin by talking about crates and flooring. Disinfection of crates is crucial to prevent spreading disease from prior litters. Crates prevent the sow from flopping over as they would normally. Instead, sows must slowly lie down. This allows piglets time to move out from under their mother. Make sure any bars across the bottom are in a position that allows piglets to reach the sow's underline. These may need to be moved up or down depending on the size of pigs, and can also be adjusted as the pigs grow. Tenderfoot is commonly used for pigs on each side of the sow. This flooring is made of metal laid in a diamond pattern and is covered in plastic for comfort. It is sturdy enough for piglets. A strong flooring should be used in the middle where the sow stands. This does not necessarily have to be plastic covered, but should be made of a metal that does not rust easily and can withstand the constant weight of a sow. All flooring should have holes throughout to allow feces and urine to fall into a pit below. Feeders are something that many producers do not necessarily consider. However, they can greatly decrease feed costs in your herd. The primary concern with feeders in crates is to minimize feed wastage. Feeders should be similar in width to the crate where the sow stands to avoid spilling of the feed around the feeder. When eating, pigs will lift their heads. As they chew, feed falls to the ground. With a feeder the width of the crate, however, this feed falls back into the feeder, decreasing waste and thus minimizing feed cost. These feeders are also easy to use, as you don't have to worry as much about aggressive sows or sows knocking the feed out of your hand while trying to pour feed into a smaller feeder. Feeders should be rounded as much as possible to decrease the amount of feed built up on corners. Not only is this build-up feed costly, it also will become moldy and is unhealthy for sows. This feed can also lead to rust in the bottoms of feeders, and producers may incur great replacement costs. Feeders should be high enough that the sow must stand up to eat. This ensures that sows are healthy. It is easier from a management standpoint to see which sows are going off feed if they must stand up to eat. This also ensures that the sows are getting some exercise while they're in the crate. Feeders should not be located directly below waterers, as this can lead to wet feed that can mold in the feeder. Having feeders directly below waterers can also lead to increased rust in your feeders. Supplemental heat is crucial for piglets. While sows are comfortable at a wide range of temperatures, baby pigs are extremely sensitive to cold as they're unable to regulate their body temperature internally. Heat lamps and/or heat pads can be used to provide supplemental heat for piglets. Piglets that are cold will put energy towards staying warm instead of growing. By keeping piglets warm, we help them grow at a much faster pace and also address welfare issues by helping keep them comfortable. Heat lamps can be raised or lowered to help control the amount of heat provided. The higher the lamp, the less direct heat will be provided. Typically, as pigs get older, the lamps are moved higher and higher. Lamps also provide a range of temperatures for pigs to choose from. Pigs have some control over their thermal comfort when using heat lamps, as depicted in this diagram. The outer limits of the lamp will be cooler, while directly under the lamp will be the warmest. This variation allows pigs to control their body temperature as needed. Heating pads have thermostats that control the temperature. Pigs will either lay on or off the heating pad depending on their thermal comfort. Heating pads generally do not give pigs as many temperature variations, meaning that pigs have two options, warm or cold. Heating pads also present a slight problem in terms of management, as they cannot easily be maintained. When heat lamps stop working, it is easy to see and correct. However, heat pads must be checked manually by touching each one to check for the production of heat. These factors are something to bear in mind when choosing a heat source for piglets. Thank you.